Hello, everyone, and welcome back to RHAP. We have some bonus coverage here, some special coverage of The Getaway. The finale has aired, the winners have been crowned, and everyone is now aware that they were all snitches all along. And I'm very excited because we've got together the final three from The Getaway to talk about their experience on the show. Maybe to air out some grievances. I don't know. What's going on here. But I'm, of course, your host, Taran Armstrong. And with me, of course, is Sasha, my co-host. How you doing, Sasha?
So good. Wow. I hope we get a good reunion, if you know what I mean. I hope we have fights. I hope we need to get security. I'm ready.
You guys have you did a show with Wendover. They're like these very moral, upstanding guys and women that they really did a good job of being fair to all of you. But now you're here with us, and we want fights, we want drama.
Taran, you had to have been bought. If Wendover bought, you just say that, blink twice. Because I mean, let's rip the band-aid off real quick, because so I now, in retrospect, I'm able to watch all of the skullduggery that was going on behind the scenes, all of this, and I just need to know how have you always Stephen. I could understand Stephen for the most part. I get Stephen from the beginning. I knew that was Stephen. I knew he had it in him. I saw that dog in him. That's why I was trying to get out. Trying to get Stephen out from the beginning. I don't know how you let a card counter in the game this long. But Georgia. I think that people because I read the comments. I'm reading all of y'all sycophants on Reddit right now who are foreign. What game are you playing? Da, 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 da. It is not that I am that inept at this game. It's that Georgia is that adept at this game. So Georgia, tell the audience how you lied. How you lied like aggressively, and was able to essentially create a game where you don't get voted out once. Not a vote was cast for Georgia. So have you always been a liar? Is that something that you've used like in your daily life? How does that work?
I maybe I should feel bad. I don't. So
Period. I don't really, get him again.
I don't really feel that. I don't feel
Whack him
that
again.
bad. I did my best. Like from the start, I really wanted, like, if I could have chose at the beginning, I chose who I thought would be best for me to be with, and I chose you and Steven. But like Steven and I were allied first. I'm sorry. It was Steven and I, like that was it. Like that was the ride or die. I apologize for it, but like I have to say, I did my best to protect Steven and then to protect you. Like, and you have to say it. I did do like the shopping challenge for, and I have to ask, what's up? The shopping challenge. Don't you know it would have been you going out if we didn't win? Yes. It was you. It wasn't me.
Yes.
I was fighting for you and Steven.
I mean,
there were some moments.
No, you were next. I don't understand.
There were some moments where I was like, Lauren is sabotaging this challenge, but why?
It's foreign.
Doesn't foreign want to win?
I'm safe. I'm safe no matter what happens. I have to protect Steven and I have to protect you. But I didn't know I was protecting you from you.
Okay, if y'all just want to keep walking me this whole game, like I literally at all times thought that I was the only snitch, and I was playing in the game that I thought like I was the only snitch. I think Patch was playing 4D chess, and in hindsight, Patch, if you're watching, bro, I love you and I'm sorry. There's literally not enough crow that I can eat. I can't devour enough crow to tell you how sorry I am, because essentially Patch and I had an alliance, but it wasn't as explicit. Like, we didn't say that many times, like, hey, listen, there's some foolishness going on. There's some subterfuge. Just stick with me. And like going off of the behind the scenes, it was obvious that there was like a lot of conspiring, even from the donkey, even from the ass itself. Literally there, I hope I can say ass. It's in the Bible. I think I could say it. Literally from the donkey museum itself, I saw that y'all had was thick as thieves, thicker than me. And like, this is mad. Like, honest to God, like when I watched that and then like I replayed every moment. I can't even watch the show too much. I got PTSD from it. If I replay every moment, everything now has a double entendre. It's like reading like Dostoevsky book, and like you just have to read it like a different lens. I'm just like, damn. So when Georgia was saying this, then she went to Stephen and said this. How did you sleep at night? That's my question. Like I was like, all my nails are gone. Like I don't understand. Like how did you do that? How did you pull that off?
Well, for the vote against where it was you and Patch and me and Steven, like you didn't really have a choice because we didn't know what would happen if we went to like, we didn't know if it was going to be like 2 against 2. We didn't know what was going to happen. And so for you, Foreign, and for I, we really didn't have a choice because what could have happened, because we didn't know what would happen when there was going to be a tiebreaker. Like they could maybe do a fire challenge, Survivor-esque, or they could go to rocks. And if it goes to rocks, it's myself or it would have been you, Peter, that would have been voted out. So you really didn't have, like, I want to defend you in that choice because I think that Taran, you got that already, that was an issue. I don't think that anyone else really got it. I think Sasha also, you were like, there could be, like, if this is a rock situation, we have to choose one of us. So you didn't have a choice to vote out Patch. But the other part for all of us is Patch is so, like, when I was going through why we need to get rid of Patch, which was cut out, is that Patch is so likable. He's so smart. He could ally with anyone. He's good at challenges. We have to get him out sooner than later. Like, you don't have a choice with Patch because once he could survive with anyone and he could ally with anyone. So we had how great Patch is and adored. You can just see from the comments, everyone loves Patch. And the second part is it could have been Foreigner I voting out if they decided to go to Rock, since only the people that were not voted for. So you had no choice in that situation because it would have risked either of us. So I want to give you dibs on that one, that people didn't. I think that both of you, because you watch so many reality shows, get that there was not many options for you, Peter, in that situation. So you kind of had to go for Patch as the sure thing. And to have either of us voted out on your birthday, which probably would have been more you than me, would have been really horrible because it would have been probably you because there was more target on your back than there was on me. So that was a huge risk. And I don't think that you actually had any choice in that matter, but to choose, to be able to, survive for another day.
Yeah. And Foreign, I speculated, and tell me if this is off base, but that basically because you think you're the only snitch at that point, you're going into a final 3 scenario where Patch has been pretty clean most of the season so far, whereas Steven has had some heat on him. And I think my assumption was that you felt like you could pin Steven as the snitch better than you could pin Patch as the snitch. And so there was like some room to maneuver there if you turned on Patch.
Absolutely. Like with Patch, the reason why it was a pragmatic decision and a catch-22 at that point, because I did value Patch and I wanted ideally for it to be me, Patch, and Georgia at the end. However, when it got to that, to the pie place, where we ate the rhubarb pie and thing, like, that's when I realized, I was just like, there's no, as Georgia rightfully analyzed, that there was no play for me other than for me to take out Patch, because of the fact that if I didn't take out Patch, they were going to take out Patch anyway. It didn't matter what I did because they had enough votes in between them already to take him out. And then all it would have shown was that I was not ingratiated to the little dyad, the little, thing that they had going on. Even from the beginning, I kind of shot myself in the foot with my own honesty because I told Steven that I was on that ass like Fruit of the Loom. Like, I told Steven that I was trying to get him out from the beginning. I was trying to character assassinate Steve. So I don't know, Steven, please, speak for yourself, because I don't understand how the hell you got this far, let alone to the entirety at the end, because I was like, 1, you're British. 2, you're a card counter. Like, a card counter and a magician. I was just like, raw. Like, the ethos alone, Steven ain't gonna make it a day. Steven made it to the second day. I was just like, okay, obviously I need to go and stamp on Steven like a roach, right? Steven made it the 3rd day. I was just like, okay, this is getting ridiculous now. This is getting absolutely silly, because I was trying my best to character assassinate Steven and he just kept squirming out of every little ethos thing. So I couldn't go for the logos point because honestly, like, logically, Steven is an excellent player, and he did well. I sometimes went for the pathos, and like, so I played the race card like from the beginning. I had to get that shit off. I had to get that out quick. I was just like, all right, draw 4, race card. I was just like, okay, y'all in? Come on, it's just me and Georgia. Let's be real. Like this show won't get anywhere if it's us at the beginning.
Very good logic.
Yeah, oh, for sure that worked. It wasn't even
pathos.
Smart.
It was because Foreign in the first challenge, just because you spun lucky didn't mean anything, right? It's about like how he performed, but it just wasn't worth it just wasn't good optics. Like it just wouldn't look good.
But the thing is, like, you did a really good job at making it seem or like essentializing the fact that it was luck and it was not me. Like in that first challenge when we spun, like you made it clear. He was just like, make no mistake, like Foreign could have easily been me or Matt, like Steven or Matt. And I was just like, damn, like he's framing it and recontextualizing all of these different things that I took for granted. Like I was just like, okay, I'm not on the chopping block because I won. But like you put me right back there in the guillotine. I was just like, God damn, I got to get this boy out. I said, there's no reason that he should be here this long.
I think I had the same kind of thing with you, but just the flip. I think you were so difficult for me to play against because the way that I naturally approach a game like this is I try and find some kind of logical thread that I can really like commit to, even if it doesn't fully make sense. Or, I'm finding the one bit logic and going for it. Whereas you were so good at doing these character attacks and like doing stuff that's way more appealing like to like emotion, but in like a really effective way, where you were saying stuff about like character and like all this kind of stuff, and it was driving me nuts because I was like, how do I defend against that when the way I play the game is try and be really meticulous? And you can even see it in the last episode where we're all around the table and I'm trying to establish what happened, Foreign, what happened in the middle of the second challenge, like what happened. And you immediately start talking about how you've given everything to the game, you threw up, you put all this work in. I think that really encapsulates how differently we were playing the game, and I think we both found it equally frustrating in both ways.
It was a crazy set of people that I chose to want to ally with because it was so much. There was so much trying to keep both of you from like eating each other, and so that we can go through. Because like from the beginning, you were both the people that I chose to want to go to the final 3 with. I just felt like for me, I wanted to go with people that I understood, that I felt like I got and that got me. And that I could kind of play the game with. And for Foreign, I knew that you were really emotional. You wear your heart on the sleeve. You give it everything that you can. And I think that also like our channels make a huge difference and our personas make a huge difference. So I thought that also for you to vote me out and betray me would not look great for your channel. So I'm like, that seems also pretty bloody safe. And you were also very vocal with protecting me, which I thought was really wonderful. So I'm like, oh, I want Foreign. And for Steven, the first day, like even before the game started, we were talking about like maybe playing a game of cards or playing poker. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to play poker with you because you'll cheat. And you went, whoa, I don't cheat. I play the game. I take care of things. I, look through it, but I play by the rules. And I went, oh, so he has it on his shoulder that he doesn't like the idea that he would be a cheat. So betraying me would look really bad on that case personally. And I just felt like we got along really well. You're really brilliant. You're good with strategy. And I just thought that would be like a really great person to ally with. But it's a really difficult thing when one of your allies, because Steven's more analytical and will just be really blunt and say it, and Foreign's more emotional. When your allies are fighting, I was like, this might not be like that moment where I went, I think I might have made a mistake in protecting Peter. But I'm like, oh, but I think that this is the best one. And Steven was like really like he gave me said I'll vote whichever way you want to vote. I'll go with you on this one. So I'm happy it worked out, but it was tentative. Like I always felt like I was just trying to make sure you guys tried to get along, and it just like all the way through it was trying to protect both. Like it was a lot of chess pieces at play that don't always get kind of shown through to it.
Off the back of that. Oh, sorry.
I just quickly, like ultimately that is, I think when we're talking about this like social strategy, if you are able to manage a group of people that don't like each other but all like you,
they liked each other. They liked each other. They just
I did like antagonism.
Oh yeah.
Yes, in the context of the game, of course. Yeah. But that's the place to be if you can manage it. But Steven, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, I think one of the elements of this game, and alliances really comes into it, is the time pressure that we were under. I think one of my biggest expectations going forward is that there'd be a lot of time to discuss the game and sort of try and sow these seeds, put these theories out there and form these alliances. But in reality, the amount of time where we were allowed to discuss the game was incredibly limited.
Mhm.
So it's not even necessarily about like, oh, Georgia is the pick of the alliance, although Georgia would have been my pick. It's also about the fact that, oh, I have an opportunity right now to briefly have a one-on-one with Georgia. I have to use this opportunity. So I think there's a lot of luck involved in just, if we'd had so much time to talk to everybody one-on-one in private situations, then who knows how alliances would have gone. But you just kind of had to take these little pockets of time and see what you could do with those. And it was just, yeah, I picked the person that was the best player in the game. So that kind of put me in a really good situation. But beside, unless she betrayed me, which I thought she probably wasn't super motivated to do, unless there was something I was totally missing. But as I say, there's not much time where we aren't all together. So I thought there's probably not many other alliances that Georgia has that are stronger than this one. But yeah, I think also one of the key things in the game, which I think is overlooked in the show as like a significant moment, although maybe it's obvious when you watch it, is the moment where we get paired for the finding things challenge and the buying stuff, and whoever it is reaches into the bag to pull out the chips. I think what happened is because the chips are painted, they got a bit stuck together.
Oh.
So those two that came out were stuck. And Georgia was like, whoa, should we put one of those back in the bag? And I saw that it was putting me and Georgia on.
I
was like, no, those are the two chips that came out of the bag.
Yeah, and it was funny because I think that Steve and I read each other really well. Like, you can't talk about the game when you're not talking. So Steven and I would also be making like these like ideas of plans like through eye movements and like through like I don't even remember how we knew to go to the donkey museum, but we already planned to go to the donkey. Like I don't know how we did that, but we had like done hand signals or eye signals.
It was sign language at times.
I think so. Yeah, we did.
But then you have Foreign doing the cheeky look to the camera in like episode 1. All these moments that I just missed every time.
Adorable.
So I was more into like ideally, because I put game theory aside, I put my political science on the side and was more so like what will make a better show. Ultimately, like I did want to be like, some people like painted me as the heel, so I was just like, that's interesting. And some people painted me as like the very like big actions, very dramatic part, which I mean that's all in me too. But I wanted to function in a way that served the game rather than serving myself fully, because I don't know if I would have been as entertaining to myself even if I had won, if I played the more understated and diabolical role that Steven was really easy to play. Georgia was able to play it at a different covert level. Like, I mean, like Steven can come across very believably as cunning, as slick, as like kind of like, you know, like a little bit like this, right? And then Georgia, from the jump, I was able to profile Georgia as like this very motherly person. Like, what y'all don't know about like Georgia is like Georgia was giving folks and taking care of everybody in the van, everybody in the group. She gave me like sunscreen, she gave me lip balm, she made sure that I had water, and she did that across the game. And it was not only like her branding, because Georgia is just like genuinely like that, but Georgia also used that to her advantage because she ingratiated herself to a medley of different players. Georgia played, I mean, if I had to put it out there, Georgia played the best game because nobody for a second even considered Georgia on the chopping block.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Georgia, I'd love to watch you play Big Brother.
Yeah.
I'd love to play Big Brother. If they ever ask, I will be there.
Oh my God.
Oh, boy.
I loved it. I enjoyed, like, everyone was like, I don't know if I'm gonna do that. I loved doing this. Is so much fun. Like, I just like the activities and doing it. And actually, when they first asked us, I was like, I'm such a caretaker naturally. Like, I just enjoy caretaking people and making sure people are safe. And like, I chose to be a therapist. Like, so I was like, I'm just gonna do that. I know that kind of like makes me like, gives me a bigger like X on my back for that, but I'm like, it's just who I am naturally. Like, I couldn't be colder if I really wanted to, because that's not, I can't see someone in trouble and not really try to help. But so yeah, I was like, we're going in. But like, we're all kind of with this trying to like do it with like the way that we can play it, and then try to gather as much money at the same time, and then try to protect your allies at the same time. There was just so many more layers. And as Steven had said, we're doing this so quickly. Like, were already like I had planned it before the game started who I wanted to kind of go with and who I felt like I understood and I understand their motivations and I felt comfortable with and I think that would work with me. But when I found out that like when I went through game 1, I was like, oh great. Like when I saw the votes, it was like 4-2, and I'm like, oh, perfect. My 4, which is who I thought would be with me, because you can't keep a natural alliance, which I think that Taran, you already said, like you can't have a natural alliance. Like you have to get rid of that first, no matter what. People that are friends outside the game, unfair. So we had to get rid of Matt or Patch, and since Matt was easier, target 1, we had to get rid of him. And then we created our own alliance, which was great. But I was like, oh great, I have my 4. It's gonna be Foreign, Steven, Dan, me. We got our 4. And then when Steven was asking in the van, which was brilliant of you, Steven, to ask, because I was like, why ask? Of course, Matt and Patch voted together. And then when Foreign went, like you can see it on my face, when Foreign went, no, I voted for you, Steven. I went, what? I went, wait. I'm like, Peter, man, we're tight. You voted against me? Like, and it's so logical. I'm like, oh no, my alliance is totally destroyed from the get-go. I'm like, oh no, this is so bad. So it was interesting to see like that sometimes what you think is at play is completely different than what you had. But it worked out in the end. But I was like, oh no, this is gonna be a lot of catch up. I have to change my math.
Yeah. Well, and Foreign, to your point about playing the heel or like playing up the sort of like the role. I think when we talked to Sam for the finale podcast, and what I said to him was that I feel like Foreign was the best snitch. Like
Wow,
in terms
the
of
best snitch is interesting. Go.
Please go. But just in terms of like actively like being very entertaining and sabotaging each challenge to the utmost, even when it wasn't necessarily.
And the reveal. Are you kidding me?
I think like that because of the act, because of the thespian in me, right? So like I think like that. I think more so in the sense that the true winning of this show was the person that tries to make the best show. And I'm a big presence in general. Like I mean, like not just in body, but like big. Like so I couldn't sublimate into being a softer, like more analytical, because it's very difficult to communicate that on screen. So like I'm aware, as I broke the fourth wall a couple times, I'm aware of the camera and I'm aware of like how people are having fun in the game. So I'm just like, I had to make a sacrifice of potentially, playing the game a little bit more cunning in what I thought was to make a better show. What I also didn't realize too, is just the way that people and the audience and the demographic watch a show like this. So like other people, like when I'm reading the Reddit comments, people are reacting to it differently. A lot of them actually enjoyed the analytical, the cunning parts, like the strategy and everything like that. Some people enjoyed more of the entertaining aspects, like the more grandiose displays of entertainment. But a lot of people like really appreciated like, Patch and like with theorizing and everything like that and hypothesizing, oh, well, what if he does this? What if he does that? In fact, I see that some people were disappointed that people didn't engage with Patch's theories enough, or they felt as though like the producers didn't engage with Patch's theories enough. And I just found that really interesting. So like it's also a miscalculation of who the audience is that watches a show like this, not just a reality show. Because like when I think reality shows, I mean, my favorite reality show is Catfish. But like, like, I mean, so like, okay, all right, Sasha, give me the hot takes then. If you don't like Catfish, let me know. But I can't.
Catfish is just not something I would think of as fame. Precisely. That's it.
Yeah, like it's a very different type of show. And a game show at that. Like I mean, like I'll watch Jeopardy, but I've never watched or played in a show like this. So like it's also like a different brain that I brought into it, and it's interesting to see like how. I mean, Dan, for instance, is like my bro. Like I love Dan, love Matt too. But like I feel like Dan, I was just like, damn, Dan, fight back. I was just like he laid down so easily, and I think that he also was of the same mind of me, which was that he was more so just having fun. And like he was playing with it. I think if Matt stayed in the game longer, the game would have been very different, because Matt is a gamer, like with a capital G.
Yeah, I agree. I also think, Steven, I'd love to hear, because in the first episode, you actually go up to Georgia. Georgia says, oh, I need to like, get go somewhere, get an alliance. But like Georgia, you were alone, but then at least in the edit, Steven comes up to you and then kind of immediately starts being like, so let's do this. Whatever. Y'all pretty quickly do it until Dan, spotlights y'all. But I love to hear like what your, strategy was going in. Was it always like getting a ride or die until the end and then kind of going from there, or how was your strategy? Because yeah, like I said, the Ass Museum, very quickly you were there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because what I expected was everybody to immediately start having a very pragmatic discussion about, well, here's what we know and here's what the most probable outcomes are so far. And that doesn't mean that this person is, but it means that if we're going to pick someone, we should keep these people safe and these people should be on the chopping block. But that wasn't what was instantly happening. I mean, Dan threw me so much because when I pulled Dan off to the side to have a chat with him, it was like the conversation was a form of betrayal against everyone else. And I'm thinking the whole game is surely based off us having these conversations, even if it feels a bit awkward. This is the whole game. So it really threw me when Dan was like that. But I think Georgia, I just thought would play the game in a similar way. I thought she'd be like up for having a pragmatic analytical chat. And that's like the language I can speak in a game like this. And there was obviously certain people that I couldn't really do that with. I wasn't going to do that with Matt because Matt is going to be the person I have to throw. So it just seemed that Georgia was a smart choice. But I can't remember the exact moment when I knew that that was going to be the alliance I went all in on. I definitely remember episode 2. I was just trying to find the moment when I could speak to Georgia one-on-one without other people hearing. And then I just went, well, Georgia, I just went up to you and I just all in, almost too boldly in a way, I just went, look, I think for this game, I need an alliance. It's the only way that I have an advantage. I'm going all in on you. And if you are the snitch, well, screw me, I messed up. And I still think that's how I would play it to an extent, even if I wasn't the snitch in a game like this, I'd still be going, look, if you don't take a little leap of faith in some situation, then you're kind of screwed. And the earlier you can make that connection, that alliance, if you're correct in that alliance early on, it has bigger returns as the game goes on than if you leave that too late, especially if you get left behind and other people start making alliances. So Georgia felt like a good pick, and I was just all in on Georgia. From Ep2, I can't quite remember where I was at with Ep1.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's something we often see in these kinds of games and shows where it's like the people who are thinking strategically about the game often bond, and it's usually like the people who are fans of the show ahead of time. If it's like Big Brother, it's been on for 25 years. But like those people often like find each other and bond over their sort of shared mentality about the game. And I think that's very clearly kind of like part of what happened with Steven and Georgia. Like you both just immediately had the same mindset of like, this is a social strategy game. We need to play that part of it. And again, in a cast of 6, an alliance of 2 is really effective. And then if you're able to branch off and spread out a little bit and grab a couple extra numbers for it, it's even more effective.
It's hard to be third in a group of 3, man.
What's funny is I thought when I went over and pitched that to Georgia and Georgia was like, yeah, I'm on board. At no part did I consider maybe the game is not how I think it is. I just thought that maybe, I literally was like, oh, Georgia's just made a weirdly confident bad call maybe in this situation. Because like I'm the snitch and I was like, oh, she must just have some kind of a character read that I've got lucky on. And therefore she's just committed to that, like being accurate. Or maybe overestimate, like maybe she thinks she's better at reading people than she is. That's obviously not the case. But at this stage of the game, I'm like, I don't know why, but she just instantly was like, yes. And I'm like, cool.
I was already in. Before you knew it.
Of course.
I was like, this is it. This is, of course, like we've already got this.
that's we talked about that like the fact that you all thought you were snitches was such a bonding agent for alliances, because like part of the challenge of making an alliance is making everyone feel like they have the upper hand. But you all felt like you had the upper hand because you all thought you were the one betraying the others.
I think that was a really interesting piece, is that whether we're all snitches or not, because we were a snitch, it didn't actually matter. We're still doing a 1v1 game. So everyone snitches, 2 of us snitches, all of us snitches. Being the snitch, you still win. If 2 of us are snitches and we survive, great. If one of us is a loyal, great. So it actually didn't matter for us to kind of find out if anyone else was or not. Like,
Mhm.
I don't think I've told this to anyone, but like Foreign, I actually, when we went in, so during the llamas, we went into that little tiny room. Like, I saw you unhook I saw you unhook
She's like,
the harness off of the alpaca.
Yeah.
Apologize to llamas. I saw you
Wish
unhook
species
the
llamas.
harness to the alpaca. I knew, but what does it matter? Like, with me being a snitch, the math doesn't make any difference. I have to make sure that we can go with people that I feel the safest with, which was you and with Steven. So I left that out. And there was a point where I'm like, I'm the only one running out. Like, both you and Patch were like at the doors, and I'm the only one running around. I'm like, this is strange. So I'm like, okay. So I think that if we were loyal, I think that it would be much more dangerous to find out or think that people are snitches. With us being snitches, it makes us, one, feel really safe, and two, the math no longer matters. It's still now just 1v1 because we win no matter what they are. They're loyal, even better. If they're a snitch, who cares? So I think that kind of gave us a protection. And we had already started the rules, which I don't know if it was Sasha or Taran that had said, we'd already made the rule was whoever lost the most money was probably going home. So you always just wanted to make sure that you weren't caught losing the most money, and then you would be safe. So we already had that dynamic at play, and risking saying anything would have been, then you're outing yourself, because you can't say everyone might be snitches, or there might be 2 snitches, or there might be more snitches, without saying it's you as well, which is a huge risk. That why do you need to take if you're the snitch? Nah, you're all good. Just make it to the end.
Did you feel confident that there might be more snitches at that point, or were you just kind of like it wasn't really worth thinking about more?
Yeah, like, there were some weird moments. Like, it didn't make sense that we were all so on board with Matt, like throwing like that was the first kind of like, that is not psychologically sound. And then like the alpaca part of, I was like, oh, that's also strange. But I just knew that, like, no one wants to go. Like, I didn't know what happened at Final 2. Like, do we all do a vote? I'm like, no one wants to go with Patch. So that's when I said the thing about, like, Steven and Foreign, that we're all flawed. Like, I can be annoying. Steven, I had said that you could be cold, just in a British way, like analytically
This is
cold,
not how it went
actually
down.
cold.
How this story actually goes, because
Please,
George was making this case about like everybody's got flaws, and then George just seems to like list compliments about everybody in the group, and then at the end just goes, and Stephen can be cold. It was sincerely hurt my feelings.
I'm
You
sorry.
called me chaotic.
I don't
It's
see
okay.
you as cold at all. I totally get you, but that's what
It's
caused
fine.
the brush.
I'm okay.
I think that like because Georgia had I thought I was Georgia's like alliance, like main alliance, truly up until the end. Like to the last buzzer beater, because I said, I don't know, I haven't watched it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, she played like a serious game. I don't know if like I haven't watched the end in the denouement, but like there's a moment where like I speak to Georgia and I said, I think I played my case, and I was just like, yeah, I'm going for Steven. Like,
The
it doesn't
cutest
make
part
any
is
sense.
you go, keep drinking.
Yeah.
Don't act like we're talking. It was the cutest part of all of it.
It's great. It's great in the episode.
And when Georgia, I haven't seen it, so it's gonna be something. And when Georgia doesn't say anything, and like I see like this shame, like almost like this, like diverting of eyes. And it was at that moment that I realized, I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, the jig is up. I'm screwed. I realized then, but it was too late. Like, there's nothing that you could do with it at that point.
Yeah.
So Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just chiming in. Like,
Please.
I was just going to say, Foreign, I really admired your boldness when watching the show. I was like, there's so many times where you take like, you do the like slightly risky thing, and like the payoff is really strong. So even just you hiding the puzzle piece, like it's just so strong. And the amount of times, whether you're looking at camera or whether you're just, as when I've left, you're suddenly throwing me under the bus really directly. There was a lot of times that you just like boldly went for a sabotage, and I was like, damn, I was way more careful in like a detrimental way. And I was like, he's like going for it, which I thought was really impressive.
I was convinced that nobody was gonna like do any like proper sabotaging in the final challenge, because the reward of getting an extra vote was so powerful. And so the second I saw Foreign hiding a puzzle piece, I was just like, oh, that's so good. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Taran was
And then
obsessed.
and then it turned out it was even better, because he wasn't even sabotaging himself at that point. He was sabotaging Steve. I was like, this is his best sabotage yet.
It
Yup.
was actually a lot. I don't think it's in the show itself. There was a lot of turmoil and turbulence about that happening. Because like production wise, like everybody was coming around, and like Sam came to me a bunch of times. Different people came to me at different times, and I thought I was in trouble actually, because they were just coming to me and they're just like looking. You know, Sam is just like stone faced. He's just like, where did you put? Did you do anything? And I was just like, yeah, I did. And then he's just like, what did you do? And like they just like, and I was just like, I put like the puzzle piece and I dashed it away somewhere. And like they came to me at different time, and then they were just like, where did you put it? Like, so I thought like I made like a big production gaffe that like kind of lived outside of the realm of the possibilities of the show. It looked like they were able to weave that in a lot easier, but like the big displays, I know that I'm the snitch. So like I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, it would be great if I can ham it up as much as possible, because I don't see it working with anybody else's persona. Like there's already these crafted personas, like from the jump, like it was all about the branding, like it was all about the hand rub from the jump. Like I was leaning into that. So I'm like, okay, I have to be able to do this. My character would do this. Steven's character plays a particular way. George's character plays a particular way. My big regret is, of course, Dan getting out. But like Dan fell on the sword after like he did the tomato thing. I was just like, it is what it is, because like you gave life to Tomato Gate. I have to let this ride. Like there's no way that this doesn't go. So like I felt bad for Dan. Dan is my brethren, and I think that Dan would have made a funnier show. But then like after Dan like didn't even try to do anything with the tomato, I was just like, God damn. And then Patch, the same thing. Like Patch didn't give me much of an explanation or a compelling argument to ally with him. And Steven and Georgia were doing like, I'm talking some serious zealous advocacy that you could only expect from whoever like defended OJ Simpson. Like I'm just like, God damn. Like I'm just like, bro, like, okay, I think I don't like Patch anymore.
Okay.
But ultimately, this show, like philosophically, like the political brain, is like this show is like just an analogy for capitalism, right? Like I mean, like
That's what I say about Big Brother.
yeah, like if we all had just realized that we had more in common than we did in difference, then we could have, as they directly said in the show, that yeah, we could have ran them for all their money. We could have broke Wendover. Like we could have like had them make a huge payout.
We did pretty good though.
We did do amazing.
We came out with more than I had expected us to come out with the way that we played it from the beginning. I was actually kind of impressed with how much we came out with. Not too bad.
I
Georgie,
do
you're
have
forgetting
a
that Thorin didn't get any money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like you say we, like I'm like
Oh,
But you still had to vote people out regardless, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't.
I lost the
doesn't matter.
longest.
Yeah.
That's the way that I look at it. I
That's
lost
valid.
the longest.
That's valid.
Yeah, but Sam told us that they were concerned that they wouldn't have the footage of you hiding the puzzle piece in the moment. So that's why I think they were worried.
Mhm.
But then he was like, he was so happy when he not only had the footage of Foreign hiding the puzzle piece, but also the footage of Steven missing the puzzle.
Yes.
that was really cute.
Because
That was
I
really
think
cute.
y'all technically weren't supposed to like touch the sides or something.
Oh.
That's
We weren't supposed
why
to put
they
it
were.
anywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh.
We were told on the floor in plain view. So yeah, I totally missed it. But I was also like, the floor. Here's the floor. Hello, floor.
Yeah.
At one point, I got lost. I went through a door I shouldn't have gone through, and I just was like, I just went because I just couldn't find this thing. I went everywhere.
Humans aren't really good at looking up, so it was really.
I've learned that about myself.
I
Yeah,
realized that.
it's like a thing, but
That's too difficult for us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, when you're searching, you will notice you
Predators
don't
are all
look
at
up.
the bottom area. It's true.
Exactly. But also Foreign, I have to ask this because I've been wondering when Georgia, during the alpaca challenge, like, Steven, oh my God, you did so good. You're amazing. You the man. My thing is, if she not claiming you in public,
Ooh, yes.
what makes you think she's claiming you in private?
I agree with you so hard. I agree with you. Like, and I think that there's a moment, like if you look back when Georgia defends Steven and Steven, like, you did so good. I gave her a look. I was just like, oh shit, okay. Is this what's going on here? But at that point, yet again, like I literally had painted myself into a corner. It was
Valid.
Honestly, it's amazing to see how like very arbitrary things that happened in the beginning of the game laid out the way that the pie would be split. Like if I didn't say at the beginning of the game that I voted for Steven, Steven wouldn't have had the explicit suspicion on me, and Georgia wouldn't have known that, and they were able to use that as a bonding practice. The fact that like I was explicit and I was honest with it, something that I think that would have been in my advantage if I'm the snitch, because I'm trying to perform honesty. So like me saying like, hey, I'm gonna be honest, like I voted for you. Like I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, I'm the snitch. So like they're saying that that's a non-strategy move. So obviously he's not playing like a snitch would. But I don't realize that everybody's a snitch. So now that's not a benefit. Like that's a bug. That's not a feature. And also like at the beginning, like when they took their time to go off into like the museum and like speak specifically, had that not happened, had that conversation not happened from the jump, literally the tides would have been totally different. If Matt didn't like, flub or get out, I think that like things would have been totally different, because like I said, again, Matt is a gamer. Matt analyzes games. Like, I mean, literally, I'm just like, okay, there's no way in hell. Like, I'm not that type. I play Nintendo. I mean, like I'm not that type of gamer. So it's amazing just how, sumptuous, like all of these different things that decided the fate of the game ended up happening, and it happened very early on. And as y'all said, like we didn't have much of any autonomy in deciding those things happening. It was just by chance. Like Steven happened upon Georgia very quickly, and that just happened to be the best chance. Had I had more time to talk to Patch, had Patch maybe argued for his side, I'm not gonna victim blame Patch, but like I mean, like if he told me a little bit better, like if he had shared what he shared with Sam and them, that, oh, I think that everybody's a snitch. If he took that risk, like how Steven, like if Steven was with Patch's mind and he like realized that everybody was snitches, Steven would have took the risk because Steven was taking risk all the time. Imagine how differently the game would have went. It's amazing just how everything was up to chance. It's an amazing game.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about the reveals. So we'll start with you, Foreign, because you had, I thought, the best reaction of the voted out people.
It was a genuine reaction. I was crestfallen. I was like legitimately seething with Georgia in particular. Like at that moment, everything right there, I was just like, that was true betrayal. Like honest to God, like it was real. That wasn't no method acting. That was not Sandra Lasky. That was real. Like, wow, Georgia really dogged me out, and she did that really well. This is high school all over again. And I'm just like, raw, like I lost the longest. I wouldn't say I lost the best. I lost the longest. I had to play every challenge. I had to do every bit of subterfuge. And yet again, I'm thinking that I am the only snitch. So I am going about every day, waking up, listening to mood music to hype myself up to lie, because I think I'm the only liar when everybody's lying. And the added stress and accumulated stress of all of that. So for me to lose at that moment, when you see what you saw, that was genuine shock, horror, and as well, like a dip of like not only like me grieving it, but I'm just like, God damn, I was this close. But really, in honesty, as Sam said to me off screen, I don't know like if that came in, he was just like, there was no chance. Like there was no shot. Like he said, because Steven and Georgia had like this bona fide alliance. But I'm not privy to that until I actually watch the show.
Yeah, your only hope, I think, was to get 3 of those votes in the challenge, and then it wouldn't have mattered. You would have been able to just choose. But yeah, that I think Sam said he did feel bad in the moment that they talked, because you really did. You committed to the bit of the snitch, I think, harder than anybody, and to the detriment of your own game, and then to be voted out right at the end, and then the 1-2 punch of then the reveal, everyone is the snitch. I mean, it made for great television.
Perfect
Or
television.
Nebula vision. In this case. So I hope you are able to take some solace in the fact that your misery made for great entertainment.
All for content. I mean, that's literally, that's my life, right? Like, I mean, prostrating pain for content. So I mean, yeah, that is, but ultimately that's what I set out for. And honestly, like I think that like the audience in particular could empathize because everybody loves the underdog. Y'all won. Y'all shits won. So I mean, like, no, everybody's just like, all right, they won. But Foreign was right there, and like he lost. So I get the benefit of being the loser, and also, having the most screen time of it. So I was just like, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm like, all right, I was right there, and also nobody, especially for the type of stuff that I talk about, nobody came across or came away from this thinking that I was the best liar. So like I was just like, okay, that's great. Like, no, people think that I'm a bad liar. I'm just like, that's excellent. That's great for my brand. Like, I need that. I'm literally a political scientist. I can't have people thinking that like I'm like, people always think that political scientists are grifters. So like literally the fact that like I'm not the best liar, I'm just like, okay, all right, I'll take it.
Or listen, next time you
Yes.
play a game like this,
Oh my Lord.
you'll lull them into a false sense of security.
I don't think they could do this
That's what
again.
I feel. No, well, any type of social strategy, I feel like morals got to be checked at the door, baby. Please, goodbye. I'm worried about the money. Okay. No, I also have to know Foreign, because Sam and us like talked about this, I think, a lot on our finale pod. Were you trying to throw the swings?
I was at first.
Oh.
And then I wasn't because I felt myself getting sick. I don't know. Did they include me vomiting?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, great. I was just like, okay, I thought
You
that was going to
better
go in
believe it.
vain.
See, I thought that you wanted to throw up so that you
No.
could then use it as an argument.
And
I
I was
mean-
in the middle. See, I knew I was right. Yeah, because Sam said it was full no, not strategy at all. Taran was like, it's full strategy. I said, no, I think he started. And then he said, oh, shit.
That's exactly you got me. Like, that's exactly what happened. Like, I was just like, all right, let me play around with this. And I was just like, ooh, okay, this is getting a little long now. Like, it's like, all right, now I feel sick. Like, and then I think they even told me at the end, they were just like, this is not meant to be written more than once. Like, it's just like, okay, I found that out. And then the drop. I don't do well with rides in general. Like, I mean, George is like that. She like that type of shit. Like, she doesn't have the fear hormone. Like, whatever it is that like make people like scared. Like, she don't have that. So like, I have that. I don't like dropping from heights. I don't like heights. I like, ground. So yeah, like that I was not a fan of. The drop thing I was not a fan of. And I definitely loathed Sam in that moment. I was just like, why are you here?
I
like,
loved that.
And
I
poor
loved you.
Patch.
I loved you saying, I don't even like jet lag.
When I told him that I like real life Lois better, honestly, I was just like, I was hoping that
Oh,
made
they
it
cut
in.
that out.
No, that's in there. That's in
Oh, is
there.
it?
Yes, it's in.
No,
I
he
was
didn't.
really happy.
It's the unaliving part that
Yes.
was cut
They
out.
cut that out? Did I say that?
Oh, but Sam said it. Don't worry.
Oh,
He told us.
You said you're gonna write him in here. No.
Oh, I said that. Yeah, I did say that. Yeah, I said I was gonna. Yeah, I can't. No, y'all can't put that. Yeah, no.
Oh, it's in. So check our coverage of the finale with Sam if you want to know what Foreign said. But yeah, it's just to me it was really funny because Georgia is like, oh, really trying, the Tower of Terror version, really being like, I'm screwed, whatever. But on the swings, you can't get pizza, beef jerky twice. And then Patch gets stuck with you. And I said, oh, he really must hate Patch. He voted him out. And now he has him on this damn pendulum. Back and forth, back and forth. And Patch's reactions to you to be like, really, man?
I
You
love
already
Patch.
You
guessed
can't get
beef
pizza?
jerky.
He's
You
the
can't get
sweetest guy.
Oh,
he
he's
knew it.
So funny. Like that interaction was just the best.
Oh
Oh,
my
boy.
God. No, I love Patch. It honestly, like at that point, I felt bad. I was just like, hey, you're a casualty of war right now. Like, you got to take this ride with me. I said, if I throw up, you throw up. I'm going to try my best not to throw up on you. Like, I'll leave it at that. But like, genuinely, that day was also very hard. Like, it was the culmination of a whole week of psychological and also physical turmoil. Like, so I think everybody was tired. Like, the entirety of the set, the crew, and of course the cast, we were tired. I had gotten a huge sunburn on my lip. I don't know if y'all could see it. Like I looked like I got like I looked like Kylie Jenner. Like, I mean, like, honest to God, like, I mean, like, it
People
was just,
pay money for that.
hey, people pay a lot. Just stand inside of Vegas heat for hours on end, and yeah, you could get that same look too for free. I mean, like, it was hurting. It was puffy, and like, that was the roughest. So you could imagine how crestfallen I was knowing fully well at the end, I think, like, I don't know if they got that on camera, but like I was sitting in this fake goddamn amusement park, it felt like, in front of a Western in this rocking chair, like in front of like this saloon, and I'm just like rocking and thinking about my life, and I was just like, man, I was supposed to be a lawyer. Here I am, just got like, it was wild. Like that last day in particular, it took me some time to like actually get away from like the grieving part, because like I was just like, I was this close, and I'm very competitive. I'm an athlete, so like I am very fatally competitive. And I honestly thought that I could have my cake and eat it too. I thought that I could do the entertaining role as well as like potentially win. I was just like, all right, I'm right here. Like, why not? And then for it to be snatched away from you at the last second, when you really think it's a shoo-in, because yet again, I'm thinking me and Georgia bona fide. So I have to go and give it yet again to Georgia. Like, I mean, Steven, like, you played an amazing game, of course. But Georgia, like, you had to manipulate and maintain like alliances across alliances. And I don't think that that could be underscored enough. Georgia was never voted for. I don't think that that can be shown, the compartmentalization that you have to do in order to beguile more than one person. And then ultimately you thought that you were going to have to sabotage Steven at the end anyway, because like you're the last person, right? Or the fact that like you're the snitch and you're at the end, that you don't feel as though like you had to do anything anyway. Like you feel like you're already there.
I think that for both Steven and I'm speaking for you, Steven, but like that was a huge stress, was that, oh my goodness, now what? Like I thought Steven would be proud. Like I was like, oh, I think that Steven's gonna be proud. He's like, he games, he's gonna kind of feel that way. But it was still this risk of like, how is he gonna feel about it? And so I was so relieved. Like I just felt like, oh, awesome. You know, he kind of like that's, and I didn't like, I felt like, you know, like I tried to like keep you got like protect you guys, make sure that you guys were there, and like we played the game and we made it to the end part and we got to like do all of these cool experiences together. But I did work, like that was like heartbreaking. Like it was a hard thing to be able to do that, and I was really worried when I looked over and I was like, oh, I felt such relief. Steven?
Let's talk about like, sorry Steven, like because I want your take on this too. Like that of course the day that everybody remembers, which is like the day that Patch didn't die. Like that day was like behind the scenes, like horrible. Very rough.
I don't think angry.
So like, how did y'all actually like Georgia?
Oh,
like,
it took me genuinely. I was like, wait, Patch really died, and I literally just going through. How can I forget this? What? Like, I was like, how much of a narcissist am I? I can't remember that Patch really died.
And I was mad that he didn't.
Like,
jeez.
I was like, what happened? Did he have an allergic reaction or something? Why did I forget this?
It was horrible.
About like literally like we were supposed like we all voted Patch off, and then Patch was still here as a, you know, as that happened, and
it ruined all of the math. Like in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's it. Like now everything's golden. Like I've got it. I'm with the people that I'd hoped for. Like, you know, like you know, like this is gonna work out. And then we have to go through this all. I was like, all of this trauma, because like Patch is adored. Like, you know, Patch is like wonderful and kind, like there's nothing, you can't say anything bad about Patch. So then we have to go through this again. Like the amount of trauma, like you can't, I'm just staring off into like the distance, but in my head, I'm just like, this is the worst of the worst to be able to go through. And now Steven has one vote, and all I'm doing is like math. Steven has one vote, and Patch in the car says, you know what, like, why don't we just vote evenly? And then it's between Steven and me. And I'm like, we can't do that, because I think it's cut out, but I'm like, we can't do that, because it could then be Foreign or I. If everyone votes together, Foreign and I could then match Patch's 3 votes, and one of us could go home. So we have no choice in this matter. We have to go for it and win, or we don't. And then I had to make sure that we protect Steven, because like Steven has 1 vote. So that also doesn't work out. So I'm like, I have to make sure that, like, really, I had to win it. But if I was on Patch's team, like, thank God, Steven, you were thinking faster than I was when they were stuck together. Because I was like, oh, they're stuck together. Let's pull them apart. But I didn't check the colors. And Steven was already thinking and being like, oh, no, that's me and Patch on the same team. That's what you want. And so he's like, oh, let's leave it like that. Because if I was on the team with Patch, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how this would have ended up.
Provided me and you weren't on the same team was the number one thing for me anyway, because I was like, well, if I'm on the same team as Georgia and I lose, I go home. But then that also weakens your alliance because, well, I'm gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Steven, did you, because it seemed like you weren't throwing when you were
Yeah,
with
I want to know.
Patch.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Except for
So in that situation, firstly, one of the things I cannot stress enough is here are the rules. Go. So you don't have much time
Yeah,
to think
exactly.
about
Right.
even sabotaging. And Patch is in this challenge is the most motivated human being of all time. He's
He
just
is.
going for it. He's so fast. And the bit that it wasn't cut out, but you have that run to the gas station was
It looked-
really far.
Yeah.
And I was just burnt out and he was going. I just couldn't believe it. I just was out of gas and he was still going. So he was really, really trying. So I realized that I should be pretty safe no matter what the outcome of this challenge is. I was confident that Georgia wouldn't go home. So then I still have Georgia, and then it's just a case of like foreign would leave, which would be my preference in that situation because foreign was the person that was the most difficult for me to play against. So I kind of thought I was in a pretty safe position either way. I did consider like, can I hide what I can do with the money? Like, is there things I can do where I can just hide some money or things like that? But it was all just moving so fast. And I think I was mainly thinking, if me and Patch win this and he gets the sense that I've really tried, then hopefully I've got a bit more of an alliance with Patch in a way. Not an alliance, but at least he doesn't feel as threatened by me. But I kind of thought I was in a pretty safe outcome as soon as I was paired with Patch. So I didn't really sabotage, but it was all moving so fast that if I'd had like 20 minutes to sit there and think, what am I going to do? Then I probably could have played it smarter, but I don't think I'm smart enough to play it that
I mean, I think
that quickly.
like ultimately, yeah, it didn't really matter because you're either safe for winning or Patch leaves for losing. So it really was just a matter of foreign or Patch at that point.
See, and I felt the opposite. Like I felt I had to win this. Like there was no option but to win
Mhm.
because if I want, like, if we lose, foreign might go home. I could be me. True, it could have been me also, but I was
She
like
didn't even
probably
think that
more
she
foreign
could.
than his Patch because like this stuff. Like Steven's not like you guys are not the most cohesive unit, and Patch you just voted out. So I'm like I have to protect foreign, and then I was like, and then I have to like there is a risk that I could go home. And I'll just mention the one thing that has the most controversy from this episode on me was the rock situation and how I didn't buy the rock.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just say it. I had asked, can I get this anywhere? Like they didn't show it because I don't know,
I
like
didn't
maybe the
even-
cameras weren't rolling when I asked, but I asked, can we buy it? Can we ask anyone? Can we find it? Like I'd already asked the question of, do we need to actually like spend money to it if we find whatever rock or like they even said I could ask. I said, can I ask someone if they have it in their purse? And they're like, yeah, you can do whatever you want to it. So like the rock was legal already. We had known, like I'd already planned it out. Like I can get it any which way. So I'm like, the rock I have, I can find a rock.
I did like in the final episode of the drop ride. I'm curious, Georgia, because they got very concerned about you, which was a very fun like behind the scenes moment where they're like, "Oh man, she looks like she's really like feeling it. We should offer her the forfeit." And then they go up to you and you're like, "No, fine." Like, were you playing it up to be like, "Look at me trying so hard," or were you actually feeling rough?
So two things. One is I didn't want anyone to know that I was throwing it, but this one I was definitely throwing, and I hate drops. Like I hate drops. Like when I saw the swing outside off, I was like, I don't like this at all. But I'd already chosen that was going to be like I wanted to win the first one so then I could win two and then I don't have to worry and I have the most votes and then I'm safe. But since I lost the first one, I knew. And then the second one I had to win because I was terrified. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. So there's no choice there. So I had to throw number 3 to lose the most time. So then I was stuck on this drop ride. And I'm like, I walked as slowly as I could, but I didn't want anyone to see me walking and going slow. And at one point, luckily they didn't put it on, like I pushed Steve and I'm like, oh, you have to get this, you have to win, go in there, get it done. So that he wins it because I'm throwing it. So I'm like I was like, at one point I'm taking these rocks to do the math because I'm a visual learner. I'm like dyslexic. So I had to these rocks. I'm like, okay, if I have this many votes and this many votes, what are we going to do so that I don't get voted home? So I was I'd chosen to throw the ride. I didn't want anyone to know that I was throwing it, but it was not a pleasant experience for me at all.
Yeah, I mean, Foreign almost like he was very close.
You did
to Steven's
amazing,
time.
Peter. You did amazing on that. I saw the time and I went, hot damn,
is
Peter
insulting.
brought
I
it.
could not
That was
believe it. It was
amazing.
incredible.
I was watching
You
that
I
were,
had
feeling
you
that
were
in
like
my
20
bag.
seconds longer than Steven was.
yeah,
Go.
like at the
You
time I was
go.
still like Foreign might still win
Yeah.
this. He's not trying to get to 3 votes,
You did
but
amazing.
like if he beats Steven's time here, all he needs to do is win that third one, and he's unvoted. He can't vote him out.
And
But
I
it was
think
so close.
and like with the last one in particular, like I was genuinely trying to figure out. I was just like, okay, what? I put something together. I MacGyvered something together, and then like Steven jumped on board with that, and then Georgia, and that was when like for a second I was just like, am I the only snitch? That was the only time where I was just like, wait, you could have easily gotten this, Steven. Like you've been up here this whole time, and you ain't like you haven't done anything. And then like as soon as I come in, oh, let's try that. I was like, you really didn't think to do that? Like no, Steven's way smarter than that. So then I began to think. I was just like, this is interesting. But yet again, it was out of my realm of possibility because I couldn't even think of the idea or the possibility of this many snitches. Ultimately, it was just that at that last point too, I think everyone was so tired. And
It was a long day.
it was a really long day, and it was also like a long week, and so much had been put on the line. So ultimately, like it was really like a haggling type of time. So once I got to like the end and that trek away from the table and like walking with Sam, like I genuinely felt like I was just like, oh my God. There was like a bit of relief because I was just like, okay, whatever they have planned, I am not a part of it. Like I thought that there was gonna be like another twist. And then when I got to like all of them and I see all of the 4 horsemen like fiddling around with rocks on the ground, and I'm just like, what the hell are y'all doing? And then when they told me that, like I legitimately lost it. I just like, y'all are serious? There's got to be some like HIPAA laws or something. There's got to be a law against this. Like there's got to be like some SAG-AFTRA shit that I could because no, ain't no way y'all did this. Like, but also to extol the team and the production, like they ran an amazingly nice game, very thoughtful. I don't think that they put this in the show. I wish that they did, but they the one prank, the one twist that like I was not expecting was the fact that they beguiled me into thinking, when I told Sam on the day of that it was my birthday, they beguiled me into thinking it's just like, okay, everything's as usual. And then I get into the lodging where all of us were going to be, and Valentina V, the DP for this and like lead photography and everything, she's just like, oh, hold the camera, like they're trying to fix something up, so I'm holding the camera for V, and I'm just like, all right, okay, what are you doing? And then like she's really just trying to buy time, because as I'm walking in, I just see everyone inside the lobby. I'm just like, oh, they did not. And I get inside there and they're all like yelling happy birthday, and they got cake. And they did like a whole thing. They got like a whole awning that said happy birthday. And I legitimately cried. Like I like fell into Trenton Watterson, the executive producer for this. And I just cried because I was just like that. I was away from family. I just had my son. So like it was like 2 weeks in, and like a lot was riding on it. So the fact that they took that much time and effort to make sure that Cass was not only taken care of, but above and beyond. I was just like, y'all setting the bar really high from like a lot of these other productions, because they genuinely, despite this being a socio experiment and you know, psychological torture and whatever, they genuinely did care as much as they could. And I, you know, if Sam's on it, if Wendover's doing it, like I feel safe that they're not going to do anything that's unethical.
Yeah, listen, it's a breath of fresh air for the shows we cover.
Oh, I can imagine. Like there's like a lot of controversy with game shows right now. Like I'm not gonna get into that.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about the Matt as Miss Terry situation. That they said they did this twice. Once
couldn't care
earlier
less.
in the game, and then once later. What did you guys think of this?
I didn't even.
This is irrelevant to everything that's going on right now. I'm not going to waste conversation on this thing. We've got far much work to do.
Genuinely,
I don't think any of us really care. Like I saw it both times. And I was just like, oh, they're doing that, but like it worked in perfectly of like, oh well, it isn't me, it's that. But I don't think that, like, even when they asked us about it, like, they put in the entire time of this talk, but they were like, do you have any questions about it? We're like, nah. Like, because all of us believe that we're snitches. And again, there's more, like, it doesn't matter. We're still busy trying to, like, create our alliances and be able to deal with it. So I was just like, cute. Like, that's cute that they're, people are still doing stuff and they're going to, have these really cute pictures and, how nice Matt looks in that hat. But I think that was kind of the way that I felt about it, was like, like that was my thought. I don't know, Stephen, did you?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was relevant. Also, part of me thought that it was an accident, that they didn't really want us to really,
I didn't want to
we
mess
saw
with
something
the
we
show.
shouldn't
I was
have.
like, don't look,
very-
guys.
It was very strange
Yeah.
of them to like be like, oh no, don't look at this, but then be like, so you guys
Want to talk about
it.
Exactly.
We're like, no, we don't want to.
Yeah, I think it just comes back to that whole kind of thing, which is that when you watch a show like this, you think that we sort of have this unlimited time where we're talking to each other and we're sort of sewing alliances and doing stuff, but really we're very time short. So there's a bunch of things, even say in episode 1 or episode 2, that I was like, oh, these would be useful to say. But you're thinking, I can't make all these points. It's going to be a mess. I have to pick the things that are relevant. I think we were all thinking that. So when this came up, it was just a case of like, this isn't a thing that I feel like is super exploitable. And yeah, just nah.
I genuinely didn't even see it. I ain't gonna lie. Like, it just shows how oblivious I was. I was just like, wait, what are y'all talking about? I didn't, in fact, until y'all just said it, I didn't know that it happened twice. Like, you said it happened twice? I didn't even know. Like, it was just totally inconsequential. Because I was just like, okay, if they are, if I changed my pronouns. If he is Mystery, like, okay, what does that mean? What does that have to do with the price of tea in China? So I was just like, okay,
They also
whatever.
gave you this like hour-long presentation on Mystery before the.
They did.
The presentation that I most loved was Robbie is not in the game. The person driving.
We had a whole sub level.
It was
Shout
incredible.
out-
Robbie's
shout out
awesome.
Robbie.
The
Robbie was
driver
such a
being
great
Mr.
dude.
Terry, which, like, we had created our own little mythos, and our own little tiny jokes. And like the other pieces you can see in the final, you see Dan wearing his little purple nighty suit, and that was like, we knew that we were all talking about our outfits. They got us our outfits and our colors, and we were all waiting. We're like, oh, we don't want to vote out Dan because like we don't get to see him in the purple suit. So seeing him in the finale wearing his little purple jumper was like so cute. Plus we all thought he hated us because they were so cold. Whenever I would, like, we're not allowed to talk to each other, so I'd be like, and they'd be like, and I'd be like,
well, Dan literally like flipped us off.
me off, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess Foreign hasn't seen this, but like in the final shot when they're all hugging, you're all hugging. Dan is like hugging. It might have been Georgia. He's like, hugs Georgia, looks to the camera.
Dan is hilarious. I say this all the time, but Dan's the funniest person I've met in real life
on the planet.
He's the show doesn't even do him justice. It's criminal that he had to be, killed because of, he had to be. But he's so genuinely hilarious as a person. Like, it's very, very, and his content's great. But like him as a human being in person, I've never met someone that's that sharp at making such funny jokes. We were all constantly just laughing, and like it's a funny cast. Like Foreign's very funny. Like but Dan was just like on this crazy level comedy wise. So,
as someone I identify as funny, like Dan, like I was just like, God damn, like I think you got me. And like I think that's like another thing that we don't really like. It doesn't show is the fact that we all had like a lot of time to bond, so that made it even harder when we did vote each other out. Like it definitely felt like real subterfuge. That day when Patch died is really a harrowing day because we sat at a table, all of us, me, Georgia, because we had to do confessionals. So me, Georgia, Stephen, no, I think Stephen was gone, and Patch is sitting right there, and like we have a chaperone in between us, and we can't talk about it because it's not on camera, but we're just sitting here, and like Patch is like looking at me. He's just like, have you ever watched Ted? And like Ted like looks at like the little bear, like looks back and he's like this. Like that's how like Patch was looking at me. And I just was like, I don't know if you watch like anytime when I'm at the table, I'm drinking water out of absolute nerves. Like I could not look this guy in the eye after I just screwed him over. Like so I just like drank. I was just like, I think I ate like the actual apple at one point. Like I did eat the apple. Like I was just like, can we eat this? I need to nervous eat this. And like I bit into it not knowing if this was the same apples. I was like, they probably do change apples every day. Like this can't be the same. So I bit into it, and like I think like there's a continuity error where like there's a full apple and then there's an apple core. And
There's one less apple at the table at some point.
Yeah. I couldn't look at you, Georgia, and when the game was over, I felt so bad for that whole kind of period. I just couldn't make eye contact. I didn't even want to look at you because I was really worried that you were going to look at me and give me this kind of smile, like we did it, and I just didn't know how to handle that.
The funny thing is that like, so we had all this time in between. There was about 2 hours in between the final game and the last game as they were getting set up. And so I was like, we're walking around, but we can't actually like look at each other. Like we can't talk to each other. And so I go to look for Steven to be like, okay, like this still good, like kind of thing. And Steven doesn't look at me, and I went, oh, that's not good. Like, I'm like, that's not a great thing. I'm like, okay, I have to make sure that I win the final one because, and then I felt comfortable after, but I was like, so that you not doing that, because that's all I was doing is just trying to read like where everyone was. So I was just like, oh, that gave me a little, that was the one, there were like 2 points that I went, that was like a little bit of like a,
Oh, that's interesting because it was only at the point where the game where everything was over that I then could look at you. So if it was before then, I might have just been in my head or something. But there was no point where, there wasn't a point where I was trying to be cold at any other point.
Don't say the cold. I don't see the cold
in you.
At all.
Famously cold.
You're an amazing teammate.
I sat in my hotel room going, "Am I a cold person?"
I think we had like a genuine conversation about like you were just like, wait, why don't you like me? I'm just like, no, this is the bit. Like I actually no, we're cool, like we're good. Like, and I was like, no, what comes across about me that like I'm not? I'm just like, no, Steven, I really feel myself with this acting shit because no, I actually like you. You're cool. Like I've watched your shit before.
I think there was this kind of weird thing with me and you, Foreign, where I think it was like people just really thought we didn't like each other, and it was like, no, there's the game that we're playing. Where in the game, I do not like how you are playing the game because it's affecting me. But as a person, I love you. So it was this weird kind of thing where I felt like there was this tension, but I was like, but I really like Foreign.
We had like the best like antagonism, I think, out of the entirety of the game. I don't think that there was like if there was ever like a hero villain thing going on. Like we had it. Like we would definitely
every opportunity. Either me or you would just be like, we should vote the other guy off, right? We should vote the other guy like every single time either of us had a chance.
Every single day.
And then George is like, no, I think we should keep Foreign. I'm like, okay. Okay, if that's really what you think is best, because I don't want to annoy Georgia or like risk that.
Well, it was funny because I went the day that we were going to choose to vote out Patch. I was like, Steven, you have to like go and tell Foreign, like let him know that you voted to keep him so that he's aware that you took the risk to keep him, even though he's been gunning for you the entire time. Because I think that also goes to show that like,
priority,
like that even though all of this happened, like we can do this to final 3 and let him know. So I'm like, make sure that you let Foreign know.
I tried so hard with you, Foreign. Because I genuinely was like, okay, well, I have to vote in unison. I can't vote for Foreign. I've got to vote for Dan, and then like I come over to you, and I'm like, well, the next day when you find out the votes and it was like unanimous, and you kind of hopefully felt trusted. I really was like, okay, so I thought maybe I was officially you before, but now I kind of feel like we're good. I see the episodes back, and it's just like, so Steven has to go. We got to get rid of Steven, right? Why is he still here? What's going on?
I literally said it many different times. I was just like, why is Steven still here? There's no reason. Like, there's no way that you could justify Steven being here. I thought it was a big elaborate joke after a while. Like, so I genuinely didn't get it. I really wonder if any different iteration got out, like if things didn't happen the way that it was. Like, I genuinely think it would have been like a very different game. Like,
I could have gone out in the first episode so easily. I was that close to going in the first episode, and then everything would have been, who knows?
Yeah. So tell me about this final shot. You mentioned that there was like relief, but like I thought it was very well done, very cool shot, and I loved.
I haven't seen
like Foreign. It's great because you didn't get to see it from the front. You were like standing with them, but like. They're both raising their hands with their eyes closed. And what's funny about it is that they both kind of like look to the other side first instead of looking at each other. And then they slowly like look at each other. It's almost like it's in slow motion as then you watch them both come to like various realizations at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's go for it, Steven.
Well, I was just going to say it's interesting because I would love to say that I was suspicious that there was more than one snitch, but I was fully invested in being the only snitch. Like, fully believed it. And partly why, and some of this stuff just didn't even make it, but they did a really good job of some of what we call in like magician world convincers, or things that like little clues that you pick up on that you think haven't been laid, you've just like figured something out. So even just like these little tiny things, like at the beginning when we were being told what our role is, they sort of go, well, look, here's some, like, they gave you like a sheet of paper just to kind of clarify what the role is and make sure you didn't like do anything out of line. And then as an afterthought, they go, actually, I guess you could, can we get Stephen one of the loyal ones as well? And then they hand me the loyal sheet, which obviously didn't need to be. So that's a thing which just makes you believe. The other thing for me is when they told me I was the snitch, or when I opened it up, I immediately was like, you've picked the guy that does sort of the most deceptive job out of everybody here as the snitch. Don't you think that's a bit on the nose? And they were like, yeah, we do think it's a bit on the nose, but we think that's maybe why they won't suspect it, because it's a bit too obvious. So for me, that logic of why they picked me, I was like, this is both a sensible pick and a terrible pick. So I was sort of just really believed it. And then when Foreign was like, well, Steven's the card counter, I was like, shut up, Foreign. It's like, cause that's why I thought I was picked. So for me, these little traps, and seeing the poster, which I already believed it was just me, but when I saw the poster, and anytime there was conversations in the car, I think it was Foreign a couple of times, it went, well, you know, what if there's maybe another one, or a snitch comes back to life or something? I was just so frustrated with this even being brought up, because the last thing I want people to think about is the idea that someone's been tagged in as a snitch. I want everyone to think the snitch is gone. So yeah, for me, I was just like fully invested. So that moment when the reveal happens, it took like there's like this huge beat of like, I'm super confused as to what's happening. And it's like registering, but then I'm undoing the thing. I'm like, oh, everyone's a snitch. No, wait, and it's just this back and forth as it slowly ticks in, and then you realize that everyone's a snitch.
Yes, Sam said that you were, as a magician, they were very worried that like you would see through the tricks, and they were very proud that you'd never saw through them.
Well, this is the thing, and this is what's interesting about magic, because my background is magician, and now I beat casinos for a job. But the thing about magic tricks is when you design them, if you know the person you're designing the trick against, you can get them. It's just that kind of simple. And in the magic world, we have things that we call magician foolers, which are tricks that are designed to fool magicians based off the prior knowledge about magic that the magicians have. So then the traps that you can set to a magician are like, there's loads of them, because even just little subtle hand movements can signify a sleight of hand thing that you might not even be doing. So essentially, it's not about, you know, being a magician makes it harder to fool. It's not about that at all. It's just about like, how good a magic trick can they make? And they made a great one. And for me, never occurred to me that it wasn't just a sort of budget version of The Traitors, is what I thought. I was like, okay, it's got a travel element, and we're doing this on a streaming platform. That makes sense. It's still going to be fun. Like, this isn't, you know. I think I had more faith that they would make a good show off an okay copied premise than maybe Patch did. Patch was like, wait a second, they're way better than this. And I thought, it'll still be good.
Like, all of y'all know about these things, and like even what's the game? Secret Hitler, like that I played for the first time long after the show had been done, but everybody played it like before. Everybody at that table, a lot of people from the cast actually had played it, and this is the first time that I actually engaged with Secret Hitler, which definitely influences the game to a certain extent. And realizing just like, oh, this is like what y'all do. Like, y'all like shit like this. Like, y'all into like this like subterfuge, social experiment, like, you know, lying to. I was like, okay, this is not the type of games that we play over here. Like, I'm more like, this is not what we do. Like, you know, we play like dodgeball and shit. Like, y'all out here playing goddamn Secret Hitler. I wouldn't even buy a game called Secret Hitler, sir. So like, I mean, like, it is amazing just how different of a mind. And I almost didn't do this. Like, I was very close to not doing it, simply because of the fact that, like, just had a baby, like, out the rip. But like, I really do appreciate the fact that like I came back into the table. And I think if you even look at the way that the reveals happened, I was the only person that when I got the snitch card, like, I grimaced, because I genuinely did not want to be the snitch. Like, I genuinely didn't find that too interesting of a role to play as a character. Everybody's thinking of it as a game. I'm thinking of it as an act, and like, I'm thinking of it as a show. So like, as a character, I don't see much nuance that I can have in displaying the snitch. I have to be the cartoonish, like mustache twirly victim. I mean, I'm villain if I have to play this. So it was amazing afterwards. And I think like I tried to perform kind of like a character arc where I get more and more into it over time. And yeah, but it was very difficult. Like
these games are super difficult to play if you've never played before. And I think you can kind of tell like when, I mean, Dan clearly has never played a social deduction game. And that's not like an insult to Dan.
Are we having a conversation right now that is about strategy? What is even happening? Why are we
Oh my
alone?
God.
His anxiety response was so strong.
His exit interview was truly my favorite because Taran, obviously the social strategy king here, was like, "Oh, so can you walk me through?" And he's like, "No." Like, man,
Let me
you
stop
asked
you
me
there.
about
You're asking
strategy,
me a
I
question
don't
about
know.
strategy.
Yeah. Then I was like, "Great, it's my time to shine now."
Yeah,
It was perfect.
watching Dan's exit interview was actually it reaffirmed me in the way he played, because Dan just came there for the lulz. Like he literally just came there to have a good time. And it showed, because it made like I think like in the Arts Museum, like he literally broke fourth wall and like he was talking, like he looked at the camera and he's just like yeah, no, we can't get rid of foreign. I'm just like, oh, bless your heart. Like I will twist this knife. Like I mean, I mean, this is mad. Like I felt so bad. I ultimately felt the worst. I have not been able to watch the show, like intensely ever since I voted Patch off, because I genuinely feel bad.
Yep.
Even though I know it's a game, but I genuinely do not want to see. I said I don't even want to see how it played out in the edit. As I said, they probably got me out here looking like the most dastardly of villain. They got me looking like Doctor Doom and the shit. Like I'm all like, nah, I can't. There's no way I could watch this, because Patch is just a perfect friggin' victim too. He's just such a nice guy. So like literally, I was just like, okay, well here's my villain arc. Like I don't even want to look at Reddit. I said, like, Reddit is the place. Reddit is a cesspool. I know how it's going to go. People love Patch, and it's going to be me, the villain. I said, I know, hey, it is going to be rough inside those comments. And it was rough. Like, the comments was eating me up on Wednesday, the third episode with Patch. They eating me up. They were just like, why would he betray Patch? Animal god. Like, why would he do that? But yeah.
That's why. That's why you had to do that.
I did. Like, it made for a better show.
You can't keep Patch around.
Couldn't.
I think all of us were like, sorry, you were too well loved, Patch.
Oh, man.
Georgia, tell me about your reaction with your hand up, looking over at Steven.
I think that's why I looked away first, because I was worried of what Steven how he would react or how he would feel, because we had such a tight alliance. And I think it was Ben that said that we were really just trying to betray. No, like I really was trying to keep, like, you know, the people that I had thought that I was going to go to the end with alive and survive, yet still try to do as much subterfuge as I could while keeping everything there. So I was really worried about his reaction. I was really worried also, Peter, about when it was a really, like, if you heard my voice, it was so soft. Usually when I'm stressed out, I'm like, have a higher pitched voice, which sounds fabulous on camera. But my voice was so soft because it was just so painful. Like it really did hurt. Because we gotten so very close and we'd shared so much, like 12 hours a day in a van or eating or hanging out together. When you're under this much stress, like it is that kind of feeling of you become like these people that have gone through this experience that no one else has. And so our bond to each other, like I see any of the people that we were with and I'm just so bonded to them. So I think I was so worried to see, Steven, what your reaction would be, that I was so relieved. I just wanted to happy.
If you know, because I obviously wasn't worried about I wasn't. The bit I was concerned about was whether or not you betray me. And I was like, as long as I get defeated at this game really well, I'm kind of okay with it. You know, it's like if I've been fully just wool pulled over my eyes, and that's kind of like the best way to go out. But yeah, no, in that moment there when we revealed, before it registered, I was worried about you being upset or annoyed or angry or hating me after all of the alliance.
Yeah, it's a hard game. Like when you go into the game, you kind of, like, for me, I thought of like how do I want to play the game, and how honest to, like, my thought is like just be lawful evil. Like I'm gonna try to, like, I might be the snitch, but I'm gonna try to say what I do and do what I say unless I have to not do it. And so but it's a game that you either, you play to win, or you end up like, not being there. And if you're not there, then you're not in the game at all. So it was like a really difficult situation to go through, because I'm like naturally such a caretaker that was hard. And I didn't want to be the snitch either, by the way. Peter,
Yeah.
not. I was like, please don't make
Looking
me the
from
snitch.
that footage, I don't know. And like literally, like you were the only one at the table, like when we first got the briefing, that had a whole Harry Potter ass book writing down like spells, like listening to like everything that people are saying. I'm just like, what is that, a feather pen? Like I'm just like, there's no way. Like, where did y'all find Georgia? And then like, yeah, I was just like, okay, Georgia is different. But like, and also like Georgia, there's off the screen, Georgia chokes me out like a couple of times, because we both fight. Georgia's a way better fighter than me, but like she like chokes me out, and I'm known for not having a neck, so it's very difficult.
Jiu-jitsu choke. Like I'm not like trying to, like, Brazilian jiu-jitsu choke,
Rear
a
naked
sleeper
choke.
choke. Yeah, it wasn't.
Sorry, I
it
need to
wasn't out of
start
anger. We were
explaining
just
that back.
training.
And like, yeah, like she did like a really good job at that. Like I think like passerbys looked at us and they're just like, do we call someone? Do we not call someone? Will that make it worse? Like,
Yeah.
it's all
I thought about this like other ways that the reveal could have gone. I think it was awesome, but I was wondering like what if they had you both record like a video message explaining to the other person, I'm actually the
Oh my
snitch.
God.
I'm so sorry. Here are the different ways. And then you both had to like watch it separately.
Oh, I don't know. That would have been so stressful. It might have been really great, but I think that I don't know. I would have been like, I'm so sorry.
They must have
Exactly.
They must have had some
understand.
restraint. Like the fact that they didn't do this, because they could have
Well, we didn't have
gone fully
time.
evil.
We used up so
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
time that even our ex interviews at the end, they're like, okay, you guys got to hurry up. You have like 2 minutes to speak because we have to go.
Yes.
So we have to get this done really quickly. So I wonder if it was just a time issue, that it was already really late. Like you can see the van driving off. It was already really dark
Mhm.
by that time. So yeah, I think that would have been really cute. Like I think that there's some like interesting ways that it could have went about, but
Yeah, I mean, I think it was very fun, and I think
Mhm.
that shot is really good. I think you miss out on the shot of you both looking at each other at the same time, which was definitely worth it. But yeah, Sam mentioned that you were like they were very short on time. They were very worried about like getting that final shot. But anything else? Anything else? We've been talking for a while. Thank you guys so
Yeah.
much for all of the time. This has been so much fun. But any other grievances you have between any other cold comments? Or compliments you want to give that then end in insults, or other details from the show that you want to mention before we wrap up?
I think one of the things is that, and Foreign touched on this, but we felt fully cared for in this show.
Mhm.
Like there wasn't, all we had to do was show up and play the game. That's it. And everything else was taken care of. And that really might not seem like a lot, but I think when you're on a show like this, it risks making everything incredibly stressful if you don't feel that. And I felt every single step of the way that everything was on lock. Even if they were running around in the background sorting things out, I just felt very safe and that we were all very looked after. And that was really nice. And also, I mean, we all got on really well as a cast in general, but also the crew are all so incredibly nice. Like every single person on the crew was like really, really like lovely people. So that just kind of made the whole atmosphere great. Because we had to be chaperoned, we weren't allowed to have a conversation as someone was with us, but it was just great because we got to like hang out with the crew that were just really cool people.
Yeah, they did a really good job, especially when you're going off, you don't know anyone at all. And being female, like it's like that added sense of like, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we're going through. They asked us about G-forces, like you don't know what's going to happen. So feeling safe to be able to do that, I think shows a lot. And I think that they did an amazing job of keeping us in check so that we don't talk, we don't text, we don't, like there was someone with us at every single stage. We had babysitters that were with us. If any of us walked around and went somewhere, there was someone that would suddenly scurry off to make sure that we weren't going to be doing anything with anyone else.
Yeah, and like even to add to that point, like just being like some of the only minorities on the show, which like people like commented on and engaged with, and like also like my analytical brain and like where my school of thought, like I'm just trying to make sure that I don't get played out in the edit in like a very, in a very mawkish way, in like a way that like degrades me, because like I also know that there's a lot riding on me being like literally people in my audience, like when I tease the show, they're just like, wait, are you the only black guy on the show? I'm just like, all right, like, come on, like y'all know what we getting into, right? Like, I mean, like y'all did not expect that there's gonna be that many. So like, there's also the whole point of trying to make sure that you represent in a way that does not set back culture or like go against everything that as a channel or as a person that I hate these goddamn reactions that Mac gives. Please, I sorry. This is not good. But like I don't like make things
on StreamYard. I don't think I've ever seen this. Oh
I
my
can't
god.
Oh, no, it
stand
hasn't.
Mac. I've turned off the
It's at the
reactions.
system level. It's within the Mac
it's a Mac
itself.
thing,
You
yeah.
have to go very elaborately to go
Oh
with
my
it.
god.
Oh, they wild for that. Anyway, please keep going.
Nah, but like I did appreciate the fact that in the not only from the edit, but like of course from the premise, because like when I found out that I was a snitch, I was just like, oh, this could go bad. Like I could be the cartoonish. Are they playing like on the preconceived like notions of like black criminal? Like, and there's so many different ethical things that they could have fallen into, even out of ignorance, not out of actual direct malice, but just out of ignorance. Like they might not have realized different things that they could have fallen into, and they didn't. Like in many different places, like they didn't, and they could have. There's things that I said that they could have concluded in there that could have made for a totally different interpretation, and they didn't, which just shows like a level of thought and a level of meticulous craft that you do not get, definitely in a reality show, because reality show is synonymous with like low budget, like unscripted, like just film it because it's easier to make money off of it than scripted stuff. You don't have to hire a writer. But no, they put as much budget and as much effort and as much thought that you would like any blockbuster. And I would not be surprised if this wins awards, because not only is it an amazing show, but when you really peel things back, there's always things that you could begin to jut out at you. And then when you think of us as creators and the different schools of thoughts and everything that they had to, orchestrate around that, it's absolutely a masterclass in reality shows. And obviously, like, hands off to Wendover and Nebula, of course, like, for making this happen.
I just thank you for saying that. I think that just personally, as someone that cares just about representation in many ways, I feel like when they added that line, right, about Georgia, you and Foreign both talking about, right, well, they're not going to vote us out with the minorities. To me, that was immediate. Like the fact that they left it in, I was like, cool, we're good.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of these shows that we talk about, I feel like I'm always the race girly where I'm always pointing that stuff out. But, as an Asian, constantly, I would be worried to be like, I don't want to be seen as sneaky, or I don't want people calling me that, or X, Y, and Z, whatever that may mean, or docile because I'm Indian. I don't know. And all these things. So it felt really exciting that, yeah, sure, there wasn't necessarily like the shows we cover now have a mandated 50% BIPOC rule, and even then it gets very gross and very stereotypy, or very well, here's the common denominator, you have to all be monolithic because you're all people of color, so that must mean you all work together. Mind you, Asians can't even work together because we not the same. Damn. And not Indians can't even work together by ourselves. So either way, it felt really refreshing that they left that in, because again, for me, I probably wouldn't necessarily reach for folks where things that don't have as much diversity anymore. That's just where I am in my journey. But seeing that and seeing like, oh, they left it in, it feels cool, and like they're making fun of it and they're noting it, and they're not necessarily like shying away and being like, oh shucks, it happened, guys, we don't have to constantly talk about it. We're leaning into it and not making it like this whole thing. Just felt exciting as a viewer that cares about that stuff. I mean, Taran does too, but you know what I mean.
No, Taran, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest,
Taran's
I
like,
don't know,
what do
couldn't
I
care
keep
less.
saying? Taran very much does. But you know what? As someone that like has to wear this every single day, it felt exciting to see like, yeah, you're the only woman, but it doesn't equal X, Y, and Z. You're actually, pretty badass, and you're able to do all of this stuff, and you're running. All of this, like you're running around them in strategy, and they didn't even see it coming. So that's the type of representation that feels really exciting on these shows. Yeah. So just thank you for that.
Thank you. No, thank you for because I agree. Like all of that. There was even like a race joke quota that I had established on there, and like I thought that I said
something,
like
right?
5 race jokes. Like I said, okay, I can't make any race jokes. I think like about like 5, and I think I hit that corner like every time. In fact, some other people like hit it for me. Like Georgia made the Scottish bit. I was just like, okay, great. I say because I couldn't make that joke. I was just like, I'm glad that like you made it, and it was just like so many. I think you even made like even some British jokes, Stephen. Like there was like a lot of great stuff going on. And yet again, like it was just like amazing to see what they chose to keep, what they chose not to, because I'm sure that they had like a lot of footage. I mean, Stephen was speaking sweet nothings into the microphone for the sound
That was
guy.
so cute.
Oh my god, every time.
I'm so happy they
They were
included
so
that.
cute.
was
It was really
so
cute.
So beautiful.
It was good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, thank you guys again for joining us. You all have excellent content channels. Please plug away. Let us know, Georgia. How should people find you? What should they be watching?
It's just Georgia Dow on YouTube.
There you go.
And I covered different TV shows and movies and the psychology of them.
I love that concept for a channel, by the way. I think it's really
Yeah.
cool.
And if you love The
Um,
Boys, you definitely should be checking out Georgia's content
You
about
got a few of the boys. You gotta cover them all.
And you broke down the Getaway too. Like,
Yeah.
I have the first episode because I could use a little bit from the first episode. And I was gonna have everyone on and we were gonna do, but it just became like a logistical nightmare to be able to kind of go through a little bit of that. So it was just my own stress of like having to do like a reality
Yeah.
TV show, which is like one of my bucket lists. So I'm so excited I got to do it. Like, woohoo.
Yeah. Foreign. I actually, I've actually been a fan of you, Foreign, from before the Getaway.
Don't make me blush.
Aiden is in past tense.
Yeah, now
After
that I've
seeing
seen
this,
you on the Getaway, I'm like,
just like, I can't watch
I don't
this
know.
anymore.
He
I
might
just
be
see
too good
Snitch.
of a liar. I'm not sure.
Not this.
Don't let that get out. Don't let the brand escape. Yeah,
The hands.
foreign man in a foreign land, and yeah, I make politics fun. I'm a political scientist by trade, and I use my political science degree for good and break down the socio-political phenomena, especially with a Caribbean lens. And I represent very, very valiantly for the Bahamas. Yes, Lord. And yeah, you could find me on YouTube, Foreign Man in a Foreign Land. On TikTok, I think I have like some story times, like Foreign Man in a Foreign Land. Also on X, at Foreign Man 242. And yeah, please send me fan mail at Foreign Man in a Foreign Land at Nebula.tv. And by fan mail, I mean sponsorships.
All right, and Steven.
My name is Stephen. I am a card counter, which is a legal way of beating casinos at blackjack. So my channel is me documenting my journey. I film on hidden camera, going into casinos and playing the game, and then inevitably being kicked out and capturing all of the chaos that ensues from that, which ranges quite a lot. But everything from police being called on me to just casinos being hostile to me getting frustrated and losing it. So, yeah.
I mean, you can't even come to the Bahamas because like you're kicked out of the entirety of the Bahamas, right?
No, I'm allowed in the Bahamas. I'm just not allowed in.
Not anymore.
He
Like,
had
that's
to
what
think
I'm
allowed
trying
in
to
about
say.
it though. He had to
No,
think about it.
I'm trespassed from Bar Mar. Is that
Yeah.
how it's pronounced? Yeah.
Yeah,
But the other casino, they just don't let me play blackjack. But yeah, Bar Mar,
That's interesting.
they were not happy. Yeah,
You got to
But I
come
love
back
the
so like you
Bahamas.
could do it. Yeah.
On that
Honestly,
trespass.
one of my favorite things about the Getaway is that not only was it a fun show to watch, but like I was able to be introduced to like really awesome
Yes.
creators. Like you guys are all so good, and I'm really happy that I've been able to like find some more people to watch. So hopefully that is the same for everyone else to watch, because genuinely I can recommend all of their channels. It's very, very fun stuff.
And we
Thanks so
enjoy
much.
your stuff too. Like watching,
yeah.
watching y'all has been like really interesting. Like when we first watched Matt, like he set the bar high too. So big up everybody, all of the cast that went before us, because I was just like, damn, I hope I give like a really good interview, and I hope I make like really witty, like stuff like Dan and like Patch and all that. Patch was so salty. I'm sorry, love you, Patch.
I love Patch. I love
Where do you guys
Patch.
stand on the "did they lie to you" argument? Because Patch made
that's a
some
good
big
question.
claims.
It was I would say it was definitely a gray area because like, you know, the you know, like there were some things that weren't like I didn't again, for me it didn't matter either way to it, but it definitely was not as like I think that all of it was kind of this like gray area of like what is a lie and what isn't a lie. Like
Mm.
the snitch or the snitch, it does matter. Like it doesn't not matter. It actually does matter.
Yeah.
That's not really true. But again, it was for the love of the game. So I'm not like, I don't think that it actually mattered whether we were the snitches or not the snitches. I don't think that actually matters because no matter what, we're all playing against each other. If we're all loyal and one snitch, that matters. But if we're all snitches, it doesn't. Like it actually is better for us because then we all
All
get
about
to share.
interpretation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was my feeling towards it.
Yeah, I didn't mind if they lied. Yeah, go for it, Steven.
I was just gonna say, I think Patch had a point. There's there is a weird line between like direct lying versus deception and where the spirit of that line is. And it would have been, I found it so interesting in his interview how he was saying that he was going to put, the idea he had was maybe to go to Foreign and say that like, hey, I'm the detective. I thought that was like the smartest thing I'd heard in ages. It's like, that's genius. Because if I'd made that connection, I would have just gone up to someone like Foreign and gone, so I know you're the snitch. I know. Why do you think I know? Yeah, we've done something way dumber.
That puts such a huge target on your back. Even if you're the detective, with me being the snitch, I want to get rid of you. And now I'm still getting rid of you for now another reason. And then I'm going to tell everyone else, they're the detective. Now we have to get rid of him. So like, unfortunately, you stick out as anything that is unusual. We're waiting for, as us being the snitches, we're waiting for anyone to have a target. Like we're just waiting for the largest target and then we're all going to just gun in on it because we don't want the look to be on us. So it's a really dangerous game when you are the snitch to stick your neck out to take a risk. If you're loyal, much less of a risk, but none of us were loyal. So none of us are taking this risk.
Yeah, I feel like my instinct would have been, if I know everyone is the snitch, I'm going to go up to everyone and be like, I'm so confident you're not the snitch. I trust you implicitly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that's what they want to hear the most.
I loved watching both of you talk about the shows, like the episodes, because with both of you having such a great knowledge of how these games play and all of the social dynamics, like when you read a lot of the other comments, you're like, no, that's not that's not accurate, or that's not it, or you don't get the levels to it. But for both of you, you would say something and I'd be like, oh, they get it. Like they know what were the thoughts that were happening and they get the game that started to be played at a higher level than what like people that don't watch reality shows to it. So for Taran and Sasha to watch both of you kind of go through all of the differences in play and the strategies to get that and to get it so early on, I thought was really fascinating and really refreshing to get to watch. So thank you both for covering it.
Oh, now we're in an alliance. I get it. I'm voting all of them.
This is how she does it.
She's still playing.
I was like, I get it. I'm Snow. Damn it. The mist is real.
Sasha, I'm sorry. You're going to have to go because I'm working with Georgia.
The team is, she's not going to vote out a woman and a woman of color. You're gone.
That was my logic. And you see where that got me. So, I mean, like, class solidarity, not about
race card minute one. When you said that, I said, yes.
I had to get it off.
First of all, tokenize me. Yes, let's do it again. If that means it works in my favor, the world does it anyway.
You see?
I told
both of you are already playing the strategy and there isn't even a game. That's the level that they're at.
I told Wendell, I was just like, hey, just let me know when's the next one. Like, after I finish, I was just like, let me know when the next one. I go and say, bro, I know you need.
There we go.
And honestly, like, watch out. Like, there's like some all kind of like amazing originals. I don't know, like, if they're gonna be able to do anything like this again, and it makes me feel like rather special because, like, damn, like, how do you do this again? Everybody knows what to look for.
Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah. Basically, what Sam told us was that like, this worked really well. They're really happy with like how the production went, and that now they will maybe feel a little more confident without like that they might not need such high level concepts with like all of these different, like they can be like, we can have the show be a little more simple in the future because we know it works and we know that we can do it. And honestly, like I said this to Sam, but like anything these guys do, I think is going to be great. They have such great like work ethic and ideas and ethics. So I think whatever they decide to do is going to be very fun. I'm very much looking forward to it. And there's going to be another season of Jet Lag coming up soon-ish, I think, as well. I don't know if that's been if the date has been announced yet, but very much looking forward to that. We will be covering the next season of Jet Lag here at RHAP, so stay tuned. In the meantime, if there is somehow anybody watching this podcast who does not know what we do,
Hey, they might not. They might not.
I cover Big Brother primarily, but we talk about plenty of other shows. Big Brother is kind of one of the OG reality shows. Started in 2000 in the US, 1999 in the Netherlands, and highly influential to like, I mean, even all the way to the Getaway. Like, I think it has a lot to give to Big Brother. Not quite as ethical, but you know. What it does have is live feeds, which are very interesting because you get to see the entire game play out in front of you. And if there's any reason why I think we understand maybe the game, it's because we're very used to being able to see the whole thing and not just an edit. And I think there's a really interesting discussion around like being able to see what's actually happening versus what's edited in a reality show. It's very interesting. It's why I really enjoy the show. It's why I really enjoy covering the show. So check out all of our Big Brother coverage happening right now as the season is progressing. Some wild stuff happening in the house this week. We also cover some scripted TV and fun stuff like that. And Sasha, she's got her own shows.
Yeah, y'all know. I've covered it. Yes, if you want to know pop culture, celebrity mess, listen, I know you don't like the Shade Room real. But if you do like pop culture and you want to know how, what's going on in the world, check out Mess Magnets. And Below Deck Med, I talk that as well. And a few other things. So just follow me on Twitter and you'll know what I'm up to.
All right. Well, thank you all again so much for spending so much time with us. This was so much fun. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope the audience enjoyed it as well. We will see all of them and you next time.